Hello, I am Jiso and I'm reading Master Dōgen's Shōbōgenzō. And we're on chapter 69, Hotsu-Mujoshin, Establishment of the Will to the Supreme. Hotsu means to establish, Mujo means supreme, and Shin means mind or will. Hotsu-Mujoshin means the establishment of the will to the supreme truth. In the original sentences of this chapter, we do not find the words Hotsu-Mujoshin, but the words Hotsu-Budaishin, which means establishment of the Bodhi mind, appear many times. Therefore, the title Hotsu-Mujoshin may have been selected to distinguish this chapter from the next chapter, Hotsu-Budaishin. Furthermore, the two chapters end with exactly the same words, preached to the assembly at Kippo Temple in the Yoshida district of Eshu on the 14th day of the second lunar month in the second year of Kangen 1244. We need to consider how the two chapters are related. Dr. Fumio Masutani has suggested that Hotsu-Mujoshin was preached for lay people who were working on the construction of the Daibutsuji Temple, later Eiheiji Temple, and that Hotsu-Budaishin was preached on the same day for monks. Unfortunately, there is no evidence to prove this theory conclusively, but the content of the two chapters does lend it some support. Both Hotsu-Mujoshin and Hotsu-Budaishin mean the will to pursue the Buddhist truth, which can never be pursued for any purpose other than the truth itself. Master Dōgen highly esteemed this attitude in studying Buddhism, and he explains the importance of establishing the will to the truth in these two chapters. Okay. The founding patriarch in the Western Kingdom says snow mountains are like the great nirvana. Sorry, it's just snow mountains are like great nirvana. Remember, he likens what should be likened. Snow mountains and nirvana should be likened because they are experienced directly and are straightforward. To grasp what are called snow mountains is to liken them to snow mountains. To grasp great nirvana is to liken it to great nirvana. The first patriarch in China says, the mind in every instance is like trees and stones. What is described here as the mind is the mind just as it is. It is the mind as the whole earth. Therefore, it is the mind as self and others. The mind in every instance, the mind of a person of the whole earth, of a Buddhist patriarch, of the whole universe in the 10 directions, and of gods, dragons, and so on, is trees and stones, beyond which there is no mind at all. These trees and stones are naturally unrestricted by limitations such as existence, non-existence, emptiness, and matter. With this mind of trees and stones, we establish the Bodhi mind and realize practice and experience, for the mind is trees and the mind is stones. By virtue of this trees as mind and stones as mind, thinking here and now about the concrete state of not thinking is realized. The concrete state of not thinking is the state of Zazen. After seeing and hearing the traditional teaching of this trees as mind and stones as mind, we rise above the flotsam of non-Buddhism for the first time. Before that, we are not near Buddha's truth. We are not of the Buddha's truth. The National Master Daisho says, fences, walls, tiles, and pebbles are the mind of eternal Buddhas. We should examine exactly where the present fences, walls, tiles, and pebbles are, and we should ask, what is it that is being realized like this? The mind of eternal Buddhas is not the other side of the king of emptiness. It is being satisfied with gruel and being satisfied with rice, or being satisfied with grass and being satisfied with water. To take in such truths and then to sit as Buddha and become Buddha is called establishment of the mind. In general, in regard to causes of and conditions for establishing the Bodhi mind, We need not bring the Bodhi mind from elsewhere. We establish the mind by taking up the Bodhi mind itself. To take up the Bodhi mind means to take a stalk of grass and to make a Buddha, or to take a tree without roots and to make a sutra. It is to serve sand to the Buddha, or to serve rice water to the Buddha. It is to offer a ball of food to living beings, or to offer 5 flowers to the Tathagata. To practice a bit of good at the prompting of another, or to be cajoled by a demon into doing prostrations to Buddha, are also the establishment of the Bodhi mind. It is not only that, it is to know that a home is not one's own, to forsake one's home and to leave home, to go into the mountains and practice the truth, and to do devotional practice and Dharma practice. It is to build Buddhas and to build stupas. It is to read sutras and to be mindful of the Buddha. It is to preach the Dharma to an assembly. It is to search for masters and research the truth. It is to sit in the full lotus posture. It is to make a prostration to the 3 treasures. And it is once to call Namas Buddha. There's a footnote there. Namubutsu represents the sound of the Sanskrit devotional formula Namas Buddha, which defines namas as bow, reverential salutation, adoration, etc. The causes and conditions of 80,000 such Dharma aggregates are in every case the establishment of the mind. Some people have established the mind in a dream and attained the truth. Some have established the mind in drunkenness and attained the truth. Some establish the mind and attain the truth amidst flying flowers and falling leaves. Some establish the mind and attain the truth amidst peach blossoms and green bamboo. Some establish the mind and attain the truth in the heavens above. And some establish the mind and attain the truth in the sea. A lot of footnotes here about different stories. For example, peach blossoms and green bamboo. Peach blossoms refers to the realization of Master Ryun Shigon. Green bamboo refers to the realization of Master Kyogen Chiken, and so on. In all these cases, in the state of having established the Bodhi mind is being established further. In the oneness of body and mind, the Bodhi mind is being established. In the body mind of the Buddhas, the Bodhi mind is being established. And then there's a footnote here, which is very sweet. It says, it may be helpful to remember, especially if reading the text aloud, that the Bo of Bodhi is pronounced not as in body, but as in abode. Isn't that sweet? In the very skin, flesh, bones and marrow of the Buddhist patriarch, the Bodhi mind is being established. Thus, our present building of stupas, building of Buddhas, and so on, are just the establishment of the Bodhi mind itself. They are the establishment of the mind which leads directly to realization of Buddha, and we must never abandon them midway. They are called merit achieved without doing, and called merit achieved without becoming. They are the reflection of true reality and the reflection of the Dharma nature. They are the Buddha's concentrated state of samadhi. They are the attainment of the Buddha's dharani. They are the Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi mind. They are arhathood, and they are the realization of Buddha. Apart from this, there is no method which is free of doing or free of becoming. Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi mind. The will to the supreme, right, balanced and integrated state of truth. That's how that translates. Nevertheless, stupid people of the small vehicles say, the building of images and erecting of stupas is achieved through intentional doing. We should set it aside and not perform it. Ceasing thought and concentrating the mind is non-doing. Non-arising and non-becoming are true reality. Observing and practicing the real form of the Dharma nature is non-doing. They have made such assertions into their custom in India in the West and in the Eastern lands, from ancient times to the present. This is why, although they commit heavy sins and deadly sins, they do not build images or erect stupas. And although they dirty themselves in thickets of dusty toil, they are not mindful of the Buddha and they do not read the sutras. These are people who not only ruin the potential of human beings and gods, but also negate the Buddha nature of the Tathagata. It is truly regrettable that, having lived at the time of Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, they have become enemies of Buddha, Dharma and Sangha, that having climbed the three-treasure mountain, they return empty-handed, and that having entered the three-treasure ocean, they return empty-handed. Even if they meet the appearance in the world of 1,000 Buddhas and 10,000 patriarchs, they will have no chance of attaining salvation, and they will lack the means of establishing the mind. They are like this because they do not follow the sutras and do not follow good counselors. Many are like this because they follow false teachers of non-Buddhism. We should quickly throw away views and opinions that efforts such as building stupas are not the establishment of the Bodhi mind. Washing out the mind, washing out the body, washing out the ears and washing out the eyes, we should not see or hear those views and opinions. We should just devote ourselves to the right Dharma, following the Buddhist sutras and following good counselors, and should practice the Buddha Dharma. In the great truth of the Buddha Dharma, the sutras of the great thousand-fold world are present in an atom, and countless Buddhas are present in an atom. Each weed and each tree are a body-mind. Because the myriad dharmas are beyond appearance, even the undivided mind is beyond appearance. And because all dharmas are real form, every atom is real form. Thus, one undivided mind is all dharmas, and all dharmas are one undivided mind, which is the whole body. Footnote: this suggests the universe as the whole body of the Tathagata. If building stupas were artificial, Buddhahood, Bodhi, reality as it is, and the Buddha nature would also be artificial. Because reality as it is and the Buddha nature are not artificial, building images and erecting stupas are not artificial. They are the natural establishment of the Bodhi mind. They are merit achieved without artificiality, without anything superfluous. Footnote: without leakage or without excess, represents the Sanskrit anashrava. Really, without anything superfluous is 3 words that summarize Zen. Very good. We should definitely decide, believe and understand that efforts such as building images and erecting stupas are establishment of the Bodhi mind. Through these efforts, 100 millions of kalpas of practice and vows will be promoted. These efforts are establishment of the mind, which will not be overturned in 100 millions of kotis of myriad kalpas. They are called meeting Buddha and hearing the Dharma. Remember, to build a Buddha or to build a stupa by gathering wood and stone, by heaping up mud and earth, and by collecting gold, silver and the 7 treasures, is to build a stupa or to build an image by gathering undivided mind. Is to make a Buddha by accumulating emptiness upon emptiness. Is to build a Buddha through the mustering of individual minds. Is to build a stupa by amassing stupa upon stupa, and is to build a Buddha by causing momentary instances of Buddha to be realized. This is why a sutra says, at the time of this consideration, the Buddhas of the 10 directions all appear. That's from the Lotus Sutra. Remember, when one individual's thinking is making a Buddha, thinking Buddhas of the 10 directions all appear. And when one Dharma is being made into a Buddha, all Dharmas are being made into a Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha says, when the bright star appeared, I, together with the earth and all sentient beings, simultaneously realized the truth. So, Establishment of the mind, training, bodhi, and nirvana may be such simultaneous establishment of the mind, training, bodhi, and nirvana. The body-mind of the Buddha's truth is grass, trees, tiles, and pebbles, and is wind, rain, water, and fire. Utilizing these so that the Buddha's truth is realized is just the establishment of the mind. Grasping space, we should build stupas and build Buddhas. Scooping water from mountain streams, we should build Buddhas and build stupas. This is establishment of the truth of Anuttara Samyak Sambodhi. And it is 100,000 myriads of establishments of the one establishment of the Bodhi mind. Practice and experience is also like this. When we hear, on the contrary, that the establishment of the mind is a one-off occurrence, after which the mind is not established again, and that the training is endless, but experience of the effect is a one-off experience, we are not hearing the Buddha Dharma. We have not come upon the Buddha Dharma, and we are not meeting the Buddha Dharma. Thousands of kotis of establishments of the mind are inevitably occurrences of the one establishment of the mind. Thousands of kotis of people's establishment of the mind are occurrences of the one establishment of the mind. And one establishment of the mind is thousands of kotis of establishments of the mind. Practice and experience and preaching the Dharma are also like this. If it were not such things as grass and trees, how could the body-mind exist? If they were not the body-mind, how could grass and trees exist? Apart from grass and trees, there are no grass and trees. Therefore, grass and trees are like this. Sitting in Zazen and pursuing the truth is establishment of the Bodhi mind. Establishment of the mind is beyond oneness and difference, and sitting in Zazen is beyond oneness and difference. They are beyond repetition and beyond division. All things should be investigated like this. If the whole process of gathering grass, trees, and the 7 treasures, and building stupas and building Buddhas were intentional doing and therefore useless for realizing the truth, then the 37 auxiliary Bodhi methods would also be intentional doing, and each instance of mustering the body-mind of a human being or God of the triple world in order to do training would be intentional doing, and realization of the ultimate state would be impossible. The 37 auxiliary Bodhi methods is the title of Shōbōgenzō, chapter 73. Grass, trees, tiles and pebbles, and the 4 elements and the 5 aggregates are all equally the mind alone, and are all equally real form. The whole universe in 10 directions and the true and real Buddha nature are both the Dharma abiding in the Dharma's place. In the true and real Buddha nature, how could there be such things as grass and trees? How could grass, trees, and so on not be the true and real Buddha nature? All dharmas are beyond intentional doing and beyond non-doing. They are real form. Real form is real form as it is, and the as it is the body-mind here and now. With this body-mind, we should establish the mind. Do not be averse to treading in water or treading on rocks. Just to take 1 stalk of grass and make it into the 16-foot golden body, or to take 1 particle of dust and construct an eternal Buddha's stupa or shrine, is the establishment of the Bodhi mind itself. It is to meet Buddha, to listen to Buddha, to meet Dharma, to listen to Dharma, to become Buddha, and to act as Buddha. Shakyamuni Buddha says, Upasaka and Upasika, which translates as laymen and laywomen. Good sons and good daughters, serve to the 3 treasures offerings of the flesh of wives and children, and serve to the 3 treasures offerings of the flesh of their own bodies. When bhikshus have received devout offerings, How could they be remiss in practice? Clearly, to serve the three treasures offerings of food and drink, clothes, bedding, medicine, monks' lodgings, fields and woods, and so on, is to serve offerings of the skin, flesh, bones, and marrow of one's own body and of wives and children. Those who have thus entered the ocean of virtue of the three treasures are of the one taste. Footnote, a term applied to people united by a common cause. Because they are of the one taste already, they are the three treasures. The condition for the virtue of the three treasures actually to be realized in the skin, flesh, bones, and marrow of one's own body and of wives and children is diligent effort in pursuing the truth. Footnote there suggests the daily practice of Zazen. Now, upholding the nature and form of the world-honoured one, we must grasp the skin, flesh, bones, and marrow of the Buddha's truth. The devout offering of the present is the establishment of the mind. The devout offering of the present. That's lovely. How could receiving bhikshus be remiss in practice? We should be right from the head to the tail. Thus, at whatever moment a single particle of dust is established, the undivided mind will be established accordingly. If the undivided mind is established first, it will not be long before undivided space is established. In summary, when the sentient and the insentient establish the mind, they are able to plant for the first time a seed of the Buddha nature. If they then wholeheartedly practice by embracing the four elements and five aggregates, they will attain the truth. Again, if they wholeheartedly practice by embracing grass, trees, fences and walls, they will be able to attain the truth. Because the four elements and the five aggregates and grass, trees, fences and walls are experiencing the same state, because they share the same nature, because they are of the same mind and the same life, and because they are of the same body and the same makings. Thus, in the orders of Buddhist patriarchs, many have pursued the truth by taking up the mind of grass and trees. This is a characteristic of establishment of the Bodhi mind. The fifth patriarch, Master Daimen Kōnin, at one time was a being who practiced the way by planting pines. Words come from a story quoted in chapter 22, the pine planting pilgrim. Lovely. Rinzai experienced the effort of planting cedars and pines on Obakuzan mountain. There was the old man Ryu who planted pine trees on Tozan mountain. By taking on the constancy of pines and oaks, they scooped out the eye of the Buddhist patriarchs. This was the real manifestation of the identity of power in playing with the lively eye and clarification of the eye. To build stupas, to build Buddhas, and so on, are to play with the eye, are to taste the establishment of the mind, and are to use the establishment of the mind. Without getting the eye of building stupas and so on, there is no realization of the Buddhist patriarch's truth. After getting the eye of building Buddhas, we become Buddhas and become patriarchs. The words that building stupas and so on eventually turns to dust and is not real merit, whereas training in which nothing arises is solid and enduring and is not tainted by dust and dirt, are not the Buddha's words. If stupas turn to dust, the state without arising also turns to dust. If the state without arising is beyond turning to dust, then stupas also cannot turn to dust. This is where something ineffable is taking place. Explain it as intentional doing, or explain it as non-doing. Alludes to Shinji Shōbōgenzō in response to a question from Rinzai. Fuke overturns a dinner table. Master Rinzai says, very coarse person. Fuke says, this is where something ineffable exists. Explain it as coarse or explain it as fine. A sutra says, When bodhisattvas, in living and dying, first establish the mind, they solely pursue the truth of Bodhi. They are steadfast and unshakable. The virtue of that single-mindedness is deep and vast without limit. If the Tathagata were to analyze and explain it, even for whole kalpas, we would not be able to finish. Clearly no. To establish the mind by grasping life and death is the sole pursuit of Bodhi. That single-mindedness must be the same as a single stalk of grass and a single tree, because it is a single moment of living and a single moment of dying. At the same time, the depth of its virtue is without limit, and the vastness of its virtue is without limit. Even if the Tathagata analyzes this virtue, making whole kalpas into words, there will be no finish. Because when the sea dries up, the seabed remains, and because even when a person dies, the mind may remain. All things are not able to be finished. Just as the depth and vastness of that single-mindedness are without limit, the depth and vastness of a weed, a tree, a rock, and a tile also are without limit. If a weed or a rock is 7 feet or 8 feet, that single-mindedness is 7 feet or 8 feet. An establishment of the mind is also 7 feet or 8 feet. In conclusion, to go deep into the mountains, to consider the Buddha's truth may be easy, but to build stupas and to build Buddhas is very difficult. Although each is accomplished through diligence and tirelessness, actively grasping the mind and being grasped by the mind may be much different. Through the piling up of such establishments of the Bodhi mind, Buddhist patriarchs are realized. Shōbōgenzō Hotsu-Mujoshin preached to the assembly at Kippo Temple in the Yoshida district of Eshu on the 14th day of the second lunar month in the second year of Kangen 1244. Thanks for listening. It was a long one today. Take care.